You're listening to a Destiny Park Media podcast. I had an idea for an episode where... Oh, it's recording.
Yeah, you can just keep...
I had an idea for an episode where we would see who knew the most Japanese words from watching anime and Godzilla.
That'd be fun. Like I said, I used to know it more, but...
Bakana.
Yeah.
That's like impossible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bakana.
Nani?
Nani? Yeah.
No, I should know a lot more, but it's okay.
Oh, it's doing a
it's doing it, yep.
transcription.
Mm-hmm. That's great, right?
It's great, but I said tree for a second.
Where? Oh, cool. Speaker 1, speaker 2. I'm speaker 2, apparently.
I don't know. It's having trouble. It's like there's now a third speaker.
Who's the third voice in the room?
Hello. This is a random ghost. That's how we found out this room is haunted.
Yeah, it's doing it as we speak, but it may fix itself later after it's done.
I hope so.
It'll be like, oh, okay.
If I see speaker 4, I'm gonna get real scared.
Speaker 4. There's a ghost in here. Speaking of ghosts, that's good shit. That's good shit. Okay, would you like to start?
Sure. 3, 2, 1. Shut the door, have a seat. Welcome to the Oculus Slide podcast.
Thank you. That was great.
How are you doing? My name is Mickey D. Rowland.
Yeah.
And Mike Jallah.
Yep. I'm here.
Co-host.
In the flesh.
Thank you.
Both in the flesh, honestly.
Yes. And since we're talking about a certain show, that's very apropos because there are certain people who are not in the flesh in that show.
Aha.
Of course, I'm speaking of... actually, this will be a teaser. This is what's called a teaser in the biz.
Okay.
But before we get into this week's main subject, main course...
Yeah, exactly. Main course, exactly.
We have some news to discuss.
Let's talk about some news.
First of all, I've received word from fans about the first few Oculus Slide podcast episodes.
I'm excited to hear. What's the buzz?
This is from Jenny.
Okay.
She says that we swear a lot.
Oh, shout out Jenny though.
Jenny, yep, in Australia.
Australia?
Yep.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
Oh, that's dope.
Well, this is a real person.
No, not to say that it wasn't a real person. I was thinking that was like maybe someone close that we knew. Or you knew, or I
do know her.
Oh, and she's just from Australia?
Yeah, she's from Australia.
That's sick.
Yeah, I know her through music.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yep. But anyway, so no strangers yet. Just friends.
Got you.
Friend fans. Friends.
Friends. No, I expect that. I think as we start the journey and get to know people and people get to know us and kind of what we bring to the table as far as the show and nerd culture as it were, we'll start gathering up like a little following, a little base, you know what I mean?
A little cult.
Yeah, like a little cult following, so.
But yeah, she said that we swear a lot and that caught me off guard because I don't know how you see yourself.
Yes.
I envision myself as a guy who never swears, who's very mild-mannered. And
yeah. I see you as that too, honestly.
So it's really shocking, and
I love hearing the different perspectives, though. That like when you're hearing it from a different angle, and you're sitting and listening, you're like, you know what? And by the way, I mean obviously it comes from a person that, their perspective of how they listen to things and what they listen to, and what stands out to them,
yeah.
And so those are things that stand out to certain people. So that is really interesting, though. Yeah, I usually don't. I mean, I'm very. I'm kind of like. I'm in the middle. I stay pretty low key as far as. I mean, I have a decent vocabulary, so. But it's fun to swear, you know what I'm saying? Add a little pizzazz, you know what I mean? A little spice.
I think when we really take off.
Yes.
And we're talking about something we're passionate about.
Yes.
I bet, the bleep button is there's these TikToks and Instagram videos where people will swear and there'll be a bleep and it's usually not on time.
Mike, TikTok's dead, buddy. It's gone.
Well, it is for us.
That's true. I shouldn't say it's dead completely because obviously it's dead for America.
Yeah. Well, and it may come back, but for now it is dead for us because so I want to brag for a second. And,
Go ahead.
Ever since this has been going on for a week, that they said on January 19th or so, TikTok would be done.
Yep.
And I knew that would not be true, that they'd find a way to work it out.
Right.
But there was a day where there was a disclaimer that said TikTok is gone now. I'm not being exact here.
Yeah,
TikTok is gone now.
Sure.
Don't worry, Trump is our friend and will help us.
That's exactly what
it was so weird. Such a weirdly written disclaimer. But so I saw that and I'm like, okay, this is going to take a little while. That's okay. Mm-hmm. And then less than 24 hours later, it was just back and they said, thank you, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, literally. Thank you. By the way, this is all a setup for him to have for him to have a win. Mm-hmm. I don't know who he's with over there or who's he knows, but, by the way, he's aligned himself with all the tech people, and the tech people know those people, and so they can have this communication where it's like, say these things so that it looks like da-da-da-da-da.
Hey, man, it's not about tech.
I know.
It's that they're billionaires.
I mean, that too. I love tech, the stuff that they've given us over the decades or whatever, as far as, socials and just devices and things of that nature is great. But, people are kind of, what's the word? There's a word where you're trying to seat yourself next to the power so that you can have some say without really you're kind of weaseling your way into a power position without really caring about who's really in the power position, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to enact your influence, but I don't want to get all political.
Anyway,
we're talking about TikTok and TikTok being closed. It kind of turned into
so even as the app was shut down, I said they're probably going to work it out, but I was not prepared for them to work it out less than 24 hours after I uninstalled the app. And it's not in the App Store right now.
Oh, okay.
So I can't download the app and start working on TikTok, because we had some good TikToks. And I was really happy with working on those in the editor.
Yeah.
It had a good editor. It's crazy that I've hated TikTok for years. And right when I was finally coming around to it and saying, oh, this is a really good way to promote the Oculus Slide podcast.
Yeah.
On Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Pocket Cast, probably.
Pocket Cast, sure. Mm-hmm. Switch Bay, is that one? No, it's Anchor Bay. That's an old VHS label.
I like that.
Anyway,
very retro,
but it's okay. I'll find a new way to edit little shorts for the show, because I love doing those little skits with you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Check them out if TikTok is officially back by the time this comes out, because I'm very proud of some of the bits we do in that.
Yeah, and I think you might have posted... I think we posted a few on Instagram.
There's a few on Instagram right now, but Instagram Reels has a shite editor.
Yeah.
And the captions suck. And
yeah.
They literally ask me... They ask me. Not asks me.
The AI asks you.
They literally ask me when I select a word to change, or I select a part of the captions to change, they go, which word do you want to change? Instead of giving me the whole text box, the whole sentence, they go, which word do you want to change? And I have to scroll through all the words in the entire video to find which word I want to change. Geez. Yeah, it's terrible.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
Anyway, but Jenny also likes the show.
Oh, good.
And Waylon likes the show.
Nice.
Waylon in Iowa. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't give people's locations.
No, it's fine. I've heard other shows do those vague locations, because you kind of can hear where people are coming from.
Well, I'll change them. Maybe I'll edit it. Just clues instead of their
little tips.
Their assassination coordinates. To quote Elon Musk,
you got their pin dropped. You're like, I know their pins.
Yes. No, we love them both. They're
shout out
good people.
Yeah, shout out the fans and the listeners. Really, the new people that are coming to check us out. So
the new generation.
Yeah, I guess the new gen.
The new gen. And Jenny had never seen Daima.
Oh.
And so it was a really interesting episode for her to listen to. And I was like, did it not make any sense at all? Because I feel like we don't do a good enough job of giving context for stuff if you haven't seen the show.
Yes, yeah. I think people that are coming into the show and maybe new to some of the topics, I think overall, I want them to get a grasp of our either excitement or disappointment.
Oh, we're never disappointed for the shows we talk about.
No, yeah, that's true. Why would I bring up unless a show that we did love has now turned or something like that, but turned.
We look in the fridge and it shows Dragon Ball Daima. We say, this smells bad. It's gone bad. It's turned.
This guy's leading the witness.
Objection. Move to strike.
Move to strike. Denied.
I'll allow it. But I wanted to give a shout out, and we're going to get more comments, and we're going to get more fans that we're not friends with, and because you can't be friends with your fans after they're your fans, but you can have your friends be fans because they're supportive friends.
Yeah. They turn to supporters, I guess.
I have nosebleed now. not an anime style nosebleed.
Oh, not anime style, yeah.
But like having an aneurysm from thinking too hard about that last sentence.
It's like, hold on a second.
Fans, friends. So,
oh man,
you mentioned Dragon Ball Daima.
Yeah.
So at the time we're recording this, episode 13 and episode 14 has come out. Now, I'm curious, you've alluded to, so context for people, these are 2 episodes where recently we had an episode where Vegeta, he obtained a new form, spoiler alert, Super Saiyajin 3.
Saiyajin.
And I gotta be honest, I really love the design for it, and I actually really like the events of the fight where he obtained Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah.
But we had our little bones to pick about that episode, but overall we enjoyed some of it.
Yeah.
And, but these episodes are called Surprise and Taboo. And Surprise is an episode where the gang is on a planet full of giants.
Yeah, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk Didn't we make a joke about?
We did. It's been more of
Honey,
that.
we got shrunk. Yeah. So now not only are the characters shrunk, but now they're with big.
Yeah, with big things.
So,
yippee!
It's pretty exciting stuff. Okay, so you're sort of I can tell what you thought of it. Yeah. And then the episode after that is called Taboo.
Sure.
And it's just kind of a setup episode where we see the first demon world is getting ready for Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Supreme Kai. This giant cast of characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm actually, anyway. And at the end of that episode, they are actually in the first demon world. Yeah. Finally.
Yes.
It's been an incredible ride, a long journey to get there, but
3 Dragon Balls.
They got 2.
Yep.
And then
the third one is acquired by
Aransu.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, how do we talk about these 2 episodes?
Well, the show, you know what? I'll start with kind of something that hit me.
Okay.
While I was watching 13. This is going to be, I'm interested to see what other people think about this, but I think I figured out what this show is, or moreover, who it's for. And I think this show might be intended for a younger viewership. I was watching the episode and I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? A lot of the themes and the characters and the fun and it's very digestible. The plot lines going on and stuff like that, and even some of the jokes and things like that. I was like, you know what? This show actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think this show might be more tuned to a younger audience, maybe on purpose. I don't know if it is on purpose or not, but it feels like it is. And then people are probably thinking, like, isn't all cartoons or shows, like, are they all supposed to be pointed? But no, of course not. I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we watch, I think maybe started that way, but I don't know. I think creators know their audience and who's grown up with them and where to take subject matter and how much seriousness to put into a story, how much darkness to add in that won't turn the audience off, or given the age and, you know, the style of watcher. And I think, I know this is so early, it's such an early thought, but it feels like to me that this is a fun journey with quirky characters, obviously characters that we know who are, you know, themselves, but in kid form, but the new characters that we run into are all kind of like very, I'm sure there's a perfect word for it, but they're very like, you know, like bad guys like bad guys. And what I mean by bad guys is like, I mean like the kid term bad guys. Yeah. Like, these are bad guys. You know, you fight the bad guys. They're supposed to be on the other team. They are bad, quote unquote bad. And, you know, they're a challenge, but not really. I mean, there's the bad guys. We have the upper hand. Like, they're bad guys in the sense of like, we're going to beat them up. Mm-hmm. And it should be an easy, like, bop, and it's done. You know what I mean? That type of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, I bet my daughter's pretty young, but I bet she could watch this and, like, it wouldn't throw her off if it was in English.
Probably not.
Yeah, like, and I was like, I think the show is actually tuned for a younger viewership because it just feels that way. Mm. And especially with the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you know, the surprise episode. There's just when they run into issues and like, I guess like, strife or bad times or whatever, the issue or strife usually isn't something that's, leaves me as a 30-some-year-old male with like, wonder if they're going to make it out or they're in true danger or something's happening that we're not all aware of. And so, yeah, watching that and then leading into Taboo, and the Namekian, the Namekian kind of, I think actually showing his cards now. I don't think there's anything behind him that's,
yeah, and that's kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh, so there is no plot like to destroy. I don't see that at all.
No.
He just seems like he's an old guy, like an old wise man who helped basically build this universe with his powers. Incredibly powerful. Probably the most powerful character in the show. Probably. Maybe
less powerful than some of the people in Super.
But yes, less powerful than the people in Super, but I guess in this current...
Definitely the most powerful in this show, which kind of raises some problems, but...
Yeah.
In terms of... I mean, the thing is that there's no real sense of tension.
Thank you.
We haven't met like this huge obstacle for them. Right. Where, oh man, this is going to require Goku, Piccolo, and Vegeta to work together or to fuse.
Right.
And it's it could still happen, but just, it's been kind of difficult week after week to be like, okay, they're going to ramp it up now. They're going to ramp it up now.
Yeah.
And there's positive signs, I think, in both episodes. Well, Surprise is pretty self-contained, and the art and direction of Surprise is actually really beautiful.
Yeah,
really cool.
Mystical.
But it's just hard to, like, I wish it was earlier in the runtime of the show. Or
yes,
its placement right after kind of a hype episode, is just kind of confusing because it's like they brought everything up to this height, and then now there's just this incredible come down, which makes it feel like, quote, filler, even though there's nice character moments and it's really, there's stuff that is going to pay off from it later, I'm sure, with like Bulma and Pansy and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
Them trying to explain this like mega world and giga world is them trying to also explain the places that they're in this universe, which is fine. But honestly, it does read filler.
Yeah, it does. It does. I will agree with that. However, it also helps. One of my big worries was that Demon World 3 and then Demon World 1 would be really cool and full of personality.
Yeah.
But the second world was kind of nothing. It was just green.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do anything besides deal with the Kraken and fight the Tamagami. Like, it happened really fast.
You're right,
the Tamagami thing. But because of this adventure and then stuff that happened in Taboo, it actually does make the second Demon World really cool too in my book.
Right.
I think we'll look back on these episodes and they'll be better in retrospect. But when I first watched Surprise, I was pretty damn disappointed, and there's just this feeling of like, so I hate to be this guy, but because I think there is a certain level of like when you're watching, especially a show like Dragon Ball, of not like looking at the strings or looking at the hand that's holding up the puppet.
Of course,
you can try to suspend your disbelief, but for a lot of this stuff, it's like, why are they not immediately turning Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 3 to just resolve it really fast? It just feels like a waste of our time when we know that they're not really in any danger.
This is what I'm saying, like, and that's why I feel like this show seems like it's tuned for a younger audience to get into Dragon Ball. Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned a few weeks back that it's like a Saturday morning cartoon version of Dragon Ball. You did mention that. Yep, you did mention that.
I'm okay with it, but
it's just that where we are with this series, we wouldn't be the target audience for something like this. Like I said, my daughter, kids that are going to school and never heard of Dragon Ball before, this would be like a really cool show. I feel like maybe to jump into it, maybe there's too much backstory, but then again, we're not on Earth, you know what I'm saying? It's not in a place where like they would need to have a ton of context to know. And the intro of the show tells you a lot of what you need to know from the baseline of Goku and his friends. Like, you don't need to know that stuff. So you're going to ride with Kid Goku and his new gang of friends, and they're like a little posse, and they they hang out, and they have like they have antics, and they run into supposedly scary obstacles that then like immediately will change to not scary at all. And that's kind of the thing that's kind of bothersome, is that like something will come out and you'll be like, oh, and then like right as you say, oh, it's dropped, they're like, nope, it's actually just a joke. We're just kind of joking around.
There's a weird pattern where every time an episode ends with like a cliffhanger in this show, it is usually turned into a joke within the first 30 seconds of the next episode.
Yeah, it's really fast.
And it's strange pacing. I think it works well when you're binging it, but not when you're watching week to week. And it starts to feel kind of insulting almost, like with the ship breaks down at the end of one episode, then the next episode starts with them finding, the solution to that. Or,
right.
Like, that happened with Bulma and Vegeta and Piccolo, where their ship broke down at the end of one episode, and then they got picked up at the very beginning of the next episode, which... But anyway, I'm being too nitpicky. But
that's okay.
I will say, in the show's defense, it has had some of the most like artful and really beautiful and also really rewarding moments in Dragon Ball, like since the original series aired.
Yeah, I got to remember that when we first started watching Daima, I had this. There was it gave me the feels of, as people heard, it gave me the feels of original Dragon Ball, the adventure-y part of original Dragon Ball, the comedy.
And we have the episodes page up right now, and I would still defend, like, except for I didn't like episode 3, but I would defend the first even
all the way
8.
Up to it's up to Tamagami.
No, I love the first 8 episodes.
Great.
And I think it hit a rough patch immediately after that first Tamagami fight, where that felt like this giant payoff moment where
fight was amazing.
The fight was amazing. It was amazing narratively, where Goku won the guy over. And it was like, okay, you guys have been patient for 7 episodes. Here's this beautifully choreographed, one of the best Dragon Ball fights ever.
Yep, still stand by that.
And Goku was funny, but he wasn't a complete like numbskull and jerk.
Yeah,
because we don't like jerk Goku.
You're right.
But ever since that fight, there was just this like treading its wheels problem.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about it like 2 episodes ago, and I was like, no, I have faith. I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And it still could. There's 6 episodes left.
Sure.
But this patch right here of 6 episodes has been just spotty. And even the cool stuff in this period has been... Well, no, there's been some really cool... Like Majin Ku and Do, I think, are the best part of this this string of episodes.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. That's another that scene right there was actually where I think I might have had my aha. And I was like, oh shit, this is for kids. This is for kids.
Dragon Ball has always been for kids.
I know, and that's why people are like, what are you talking about?
But because of the way anime is made now, this is for international markets as well. Yeah. So like Japan originally only thought of how Dragon Ball was perceived in Japan. I should say Toriyama and his editorial staff. Sure. But when they make a new Dragon Ball product now, they think about domestic. I say domestic when I mean United States. Right. They think about the United States response to it because like they've premiered the trailer for Broly, or I think it was the movie poster for Broly, that film in New York. Oh, sure. And they actually premiered this in a Los Angeles-based event, I believe, Daima. Yep. So they do think of, okay, the West loves Dragon Ball too, and Cartoon Network isn't going to show Kame Sennin or Master Roshi being like disgusting to women on
some of my favorite stuff, but yes, I understand.
I
get it.
I'm of mixed opinion about that.
I understand.
So standards have changed. Blood isn't really a part of Dragon Ball anymore. No. This show has more blood than Super, though. That's the funny thing.
I'm trying to even remember the spots where I saw it.
Vegeta got slashed in the cheek by the Tamagami that he fought.
That's right. Yep.
There's been maybe one or two other blood moments, but it's by no means impressive or anything.
It's definitely no Z.
But it's yeah, I know. I do. I think that would be a separate episode, but I do miss when the battles felt like there's just a sense of danger when you see these guys bleeding or like it's like, oh, they're human beings, or not human beings, they're take two. Oh, they're living beings, right? And they have life essence that is coming out of their mouth. Yeah, yeah.
Like you have to worry about them.
Yeah, like when Frieza gets punched by Goku in the stomach and he just pukes up a ton of blood.
That was that's amazing stuff that was going on.
And we're not being edgelords. It's just like it conveys an important message, which is like
this is serious.
This is serious, and these guys are hurting each other. It's not just like
we're not playing around. Yeah, exactly. We're not like having a tussle, which I feel like the show does a lot of.
It is
a lot of tussling.
Here's the ultimate, I guess, issue with it is that it is a midquel to a midquel. So
it really
it's taking place between the end of Z, or I'm sorry, between the end of Majin Buu, that arc, and then the end of Z.
Yep.
And Dragon Ball Super takes place in that period as well. So this is before Dragon Ball Super. So, the phrase, the sky's the limit. This is like the complete opposite of that.
There's a ceiling.
The ceiling is the limit.
Yeah, so we must know where we need to be.
And I kind of thought it was a cool creative challenge to be like, okay, there's definitely no way they're going to fight the strongest enemy they've ever faced. And it can't be much stronger than Majin Buu.
Right, right.
But I will say one thing, which is, at the end of Taboo, when they are all dropping into the first demon world, I really love that scene. I think it's really
they're falling.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful.
Flying.
But I think that it's choreographed really well. The music is great. The fact that they built up to it with both Degasu and Aransu commenting like, hey, I hear something. Like, and the gates sound like they're open or something. And there's a great cinematic buildup to it. And there's rumors about the next week's episode. It was going to premiere at a Dragon Ball, I think the video game's called like Battle Legends or something.
Okay, the mobile, I guess the mobile.
I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know anything about video games really.
Yeah, I got you.
Besides Sonic. But the episode was going to premiere there, which is weird because that's for like casual Dragon Ball fans. So and there's been staff leaks about this episode where the guy who directed the Tamagami episode, which is where Goku fought Tamagami 3.
Yep.
And like we've said, best animation in the series, better than most of Super in terms of everything.
Definitely.
So that gives me hope that like the fact they were going to premiere it so confidently in front of a ton of casuals and that this guy's back, and the trailer shows some kind of fun stuff. The episode previews are not, they don't really go for hype.
No.
They just show random scenes that don't really, when you watch the full episode, you go, oh wow, there was a lot of cool stuff that wasn't in the preview.
Absolutely.
Which is the opposite of how Dragon Ball previews used to be, where they'd spoil the whole episode.
Right, exactly.
Anyway.
One more thing, I think in Taboo, we run into may I call them the new Ginyu Force?
Yeah, that was such a waste of time. I really was just dead during that scene.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so we got a new Ginyu Force, and then my mind just goes to, but then where's Frieza? Where's the Frieza? Who is? You have this goofy gang, but who is the? And then, but like I said, it just emphasizes like this is not that. I don't think this is that. I don't think it's not going to be that. At least, you're giving me 14 episodes. I don't think this is that.
Yeah.
I think you're these are nods to old fans. Like, hey, remember da-da-da? Yeah, remember that? Ponzi, remember, this is very similar. These things that like, oh yeah, that's great. These people remind me of these people. But I don't think it doesn't have the level of danger or seriousness that the old ones did. So now that I know that, or at least now that I believe that to be the truth, because you haven't proven to me otherwise. So I'm only going based on data.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to watch it from that standpoint, I think, and just see let me see how much, okay, so if you're gonna put me in that space, then let me see how much fun you can make me have then.
Yeah.
Give me some fun, and I think they've done a decent job of giving fun, especially like you said, the first 8. There's a lot of fun going on there. It was fun to learn, find these new characters, and they were funny, and the jokes have been funny and stuff like that. But but now we've kind of been with them for a while, and what's the next fun that you're gonna give me? What are we moving towards that's fun? So
yeah, and I do think that there was build up and like a sense of danger and stuff in the first few episodes, and I do hope they can bring that back. Yeah. I mean, they started off the show with this recap of the Majin Buu arc that was so well done that it made that arc seem like it was one of the best things ever. It made it seem epic.
Yeah.
I know they worked on this show for a long time. Both the staff in terms of the art and the writing staff, and I hope that they can pull off these next 6 episodes, because it's confirmed the last episode is on February 28th.
Oh, so they have confirmed it. Yeah. So it is a 20 episode run. Okay, so they gotta, they gotta bring it.
I hope so. I think it could be a lot of fun, but that new Ginyu squad or Ginyu force, it just does nothing for me. It's like the weakest nostalgia. But it's not even like they're trying to do anything with it. It's just like a ripoff, or not ripoff, but it's like
it feels like that.
The same template. It's like Timu Ginyu Force.
Yes, Timu Ginyu.
And they look just like the gendarmerie, the military police.
Yeah, they little red ribbon army ish. Yeah. Again, a lot of these nods are from years of old.
I like cute nods, but this took up half the episode.
Right, and what's the point of it?
It took forever. We know they're not that strong.
They don't seem very strong, even though they present as such.
They said, or Degasu goes, these guys defeated Majin Buu, and then they go, oh, that's a joke, and he's like, no, it's not, and they go, And it's like, okay, so
it's funny.
We know they're fodder.
Yeah,
it's great, but the scene where they met the Majin Buu and Majin Ku brothers was great. And I loved that.
Yeah, in the candy store.
Yeah, in the candy store, or their convenience store, where they were going to buy them a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And then they didn't have enough money, so they just got one candy bar for each of them. But dude, Majin Ku and Dude being like, thank you, and like being so happy. I don't know, man. There's going to be some brilliance coming up.
Yeah, that's some fun. That's a fun piece.
I think...
What are we doing with those characters?
My theory is that the Third Eye, which is the title of the next episode, Third Eye, I think that is going to make Goma an actual threat that these guys can't beat on their own.
Okay.
And they have to bring the whole demon world together. And it'll be like an army of everyone they've met up to that point.
Sure.
Oh, this could be amazing.
That would be cool. Doesn't our character have the Third Eye belt still?
Yes. Hybus,
that's his name.
Yep, he still has it. And he is headed towards
That's right.
Goma. So
because he has the one Dragon Ball too.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
There could be something really cool here.
Okay.
I know I'm like the hopeful.
I like it.
You don't lose anything by being hopeful about something and being disappointed. Like,
no.
If you're disappointed, either way, at least you had fun hoping for a while.
Right. And it gives you like a little bit of, adds a little spice to to the show, and so you can kind of see where that actually ends up turning into. You know what I mean? So no, I'm excited that it's called Third Eye. So that's hopeful.
Yeah. It would be the first Dragon Ball property of the last 10, 15 years that didn't like ratchet up for the finale. Like Dragon Ball Superhero, we both liked that movie, and it was very low key for most of the runtime, and then it goes kind of insane for the final fight.
Yeah,
I think that's how they do it now, or at least that's how they did it while Toriyama was still alive. He helps out with the gags, and that's his favorite part is the gags.
Yeah, they're funny.
And he helps out with the lower stakes stuff, and then he says to the animators, "All right, you can do the fight now," and then they just go absolutely nuts. Yeah. Good time. I think that it's going to be cool. We got the fusion bugs. I know I said this last time. We'll see. I'm optimistic, but but the optimism, I would say, is less energetic than it was before these 2 episodes. Like after the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta thing, it's like, okay, let's see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't like what they've been doing for a little bit here.
Yep.
I'm still hopeful, but there's a little bit of cope.
Yeah, and Piccolo's a nothing burger again.
My favorite character, and
just an absolute nothing burger.
He's just there to say how powerful Neva is.
Thank you, Piccolo. We can see that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, last thing, and then we'll move on.
Yep.
The way that they directed the scene where Goku gets shocked by the gate, I actually thought that was really funny and also a good display of how powerful Neva's magic was.
Yeah.
But Goku falling from the ship is a great shot and kind of dramatic, but nobody helps him.
Yeah, we're literally just sitting him, watching him fall, and like somebody's going to jump off, right?
Yeah, Piccolo, catch him, man.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Vegeta, hello. But nobody... No, and you could say they could tell he was okay, but the show doesn't convey that at all.
Where's the urgency?
And there's dramatic shots where he's just falling from an incredible height.
Yeah.
And nobody's helping him.
And he looks out of it, too. Yeah, it's not like he's laughing and falling or like, or he's screaming like, you know what I mean?
He's knocked out cold.
Yeah, so it's like, we don't care.
And I know that in anime, they extend moments that, especially Dragon Ball does this.
Of course.
Extend moments that were actually only a few seconds, but, Neva's repeating an incantation that takes a long time, and we see Goku falling really fast.
Yeah, he's just repeating it, and it's like chanting.
And it's a cool chant. Mm-hmm. They used it in the first trailer, I think the first official trailer for the show, and it's kind of ominous and cool. I do want to say, I think Neva is more neutral. I think he's more neutral, not a good guy necessarily, but I think he's being won over by these guys as opposed to Goma, where he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, this guy has made me do all these things, and I don't really have control.
He says that Namekians aren't supposed to use their powers for conflict, so that's why he didn't do anything with Goma. Yes. Anyway, so now that we've gotten our Daima chat out of the way, we like to catch up on that show because we're both Dragon Ball nerds.
Yeah.
There's another show that we were watching weekly as it aired that we both really got into, and this is a record. This is a record for the show. This is the newest in terms of like the age of the property. This is the newest franchise to be part of the Akira Slide podcast.
You're right, it is.
This is from 2024.
Yep.
There's no cobwebs.
We're not blowing things off.
No mothballs.
Nope.
Mothballs. No, this is it's a show called Don Da Don Don Da Don Don Da Don 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 Don.
Yeah. That's the intro.
Yeah, that's the intro. But it's actually just called Don Da Don.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a bit in our favorite things of 2024, and it actually won my favorite show of 2024.
Congrats to Don Da Don, right?
Beat the hell out of everything else, that's for sure.
I'm really excited that it's funny to say that we stumbled upon it. I think the show is actually a very big show, or it's becoming a big show.
It's hugely popular now.
Yeah. So like people have been watching it. So it's not really stumbling upon it. I think it's been pushed. I took the bait. After hearing a few people mention it a few times, I took the bait. I said, and the trailer would show up on my Netflix, and I'd be like, all right, fine. Let me see what this is. I'm gonna click it and see it.
And I don't have Netflix, so I didn't see the trailer or anything.
Yeah, I led you down this rabbit hole as it were.
My friend Amber also would occasionally mention it.
It's like, I'm watching Don Da Don.
Yeah, they would say, we're watching Don Da Don this weekend. It comes out on Friday. And they were saying how much they loved the show. And, and I said, yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Don Da Don.
That's our energy. Yeah, sure. I mean,
I got to watch Fist of the North Star. from 1980, whatever.
I'm rewatching Cowboy Bebop in reverse order.
Jazz.
Yep, jazz.
Yeah. But these people, they get us sort of woke.
Yeah, exactly. Woke to the newness.
That's not a loaded term now.
No, yeah, exactly.
No, but it's good to stay up to date on your passions and not just rewatch stuff you've already seen.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, Akira Slide for me was the big reason for being even more excited about it is, like I said, I wanted to get back in to, the fold of anime because I let it slip.
That was one of your main goals for the podcast was to watch new stuff. Yes,
exactly. So this, I took a chance on Dandadan and, wow, man, this show.
We'll do like a spoiler-free first half of this discussion.
Absolutely.
Spoilers in the second half.
Yeah.
How would you describe the show to someone you were trying to get to watch it for the first time?
As somebody who is in the world of, anime and nerddom and
whatnot. I would not.
Yes.
I would not try to get someone who hasn't already watched anime.
Hey, Mom.
Watch this. Although, I'm trying to like hang my head high or trying to hold my head high.
Mm-hmm.
There's this inspirational psychology dude I follow on Instagram who talked about like when you're like talking about your hobbies or your interests to hold your head high and be proud of the stuff you're into. And the stuff you're accomplishing in your life. And, so my dad asked me about, have you been seeing any good shows or movies?
Mm-hmm.
And before I would be like, oh, my dad has made fun of anime before. He's not going to be interested in this. But I very confidently just said, oh, I've been watching this show called Dawn to Dawn. It's on Netflix. You may have seen it. He said, oh, I've seen that. And he like did not make any comments.
Yeah.
He's like, I've seen the trailers. I heard it's really good. And I was
no, people are coming around, man.
Oh, yeah.
We're in an age, it's so different than it was 10, 20 years ago.
I'm happy for the little weebs.
Yeah, they're living their life. This is what I'm saying. Like, they're really people in high school, middle school, high school. It's just it's a thing. I think it's a part. Not that I know firsthand, but I'm saying I'm pretty sure that this is like a part of the culture. Like in school, like nobody looks at it like, oh, this is weird. Like, people are. It's a part of everyday watching.
There's a balance for sure. Where like anything, if you are too. And I'm not trying to be like the arbiter of what is too much or not. But if you're like, that's a delicate conversation.
Yeah.
If you're doing the Naruto run down the hallway.
That's the visual I was thinking.
Yeah. That could be seen as maybe like being a bit out there.
Yeah, it definitely was what we were going
Yeah.
For damn sure.
But if you're into it and you're not hurting anybody, I say nobody should make fun of you for that.
Yeah, go do your thing.
But
do your thing.
But also, it may be just kind of a little too much.
It's off-putting. It can be off-putting.
Those arms are out real wide. You're blocking the hallway for a lot of people. Just try be more considerate. Just believe it. Oh
no, man, the confidence. But I think that's really great to hear that your dad was like, oh yeah, people. I think Netflix has been doing. Maybe I thought maybe it's just our algorithms or something why we see these things. But if your dad's seeing the stuff, that means they're actually actively putting it in front of people that aren't really in that, or their watch history doesn't show that. That means they're actually like actively trying to, I don't know, like promote something new that they feel excited about or whatever, like something they want to hang their hat on. They want to be the competitor, I think, to, Crunchyroll or, these other
But this services. Is on Crunchyroll too.
Yeah, and it's on Crunchyroll, which is, but I'm seeing that Netflix is making some moves where they're really trying to assert anime.
They are, but Crunchyroll, I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's a very interesting landscape. It's very interesting. So
I'm a huge Netflix hater.
Of course, we know. I mean, I have my negatives about Netflix as well because they've just done a lot of very questionable cancellations and questionable decisions where I'm just like, what are you guys doing? And it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad, I guess.
The subs on their exclusive anime is also not very good.
Right.
are also not very good.
All right, from what you've mentioned, it sounds like they're not up to snuff, but enough to where I think you can watch the show without being too confused of what's going on, of course. But
yeah, well, for a show like Comey Can't Communicate, which requires a lot of different text bubbles and stuff,
right,
and Netflix tends to skip a lot of text.
And that's horrible.
Text translations.
Yeah.
That's you're gonna miss some gags, but which for a gag comedy, manga, anime, that's a crime.
It would be because you're missing most of the show.
Anyway, so how would you describe Don to Don if you were trying to get someone to watch it?
I would say, hey, this show. How do you feel about like? Not wild, but like the show is very out there. It's kind of has an out there theme, quite literally.
Yes.
One character, who loves the occult and aliens and things like that, conspiracy theory stuff, and another character. These are high school kids, and another character is like into ghosts and spirits and omens and things like that, and has a grandmother that's a medium and these two characters basically kind of fall into each other as far as a relationship is concerned, as far as a friendly relationship is concerned. And kind of all hell breaks loose because in a way they are running into the things that they didn't expect to see or maybe they did expect to see in the world, aliens and ghosts and things like that. And the show kind of is very fantastical in that way. And so you kind of have this, suspend all disbelief when watching it. But if you can do that and really jump on the ride, it's a really, really fun ride. Mm-hmm. It's really fun. But yeah, I mean, that's a very loose way to describe this show. It's just, them kind of going on these wild adventures, kind of encountering aliens and ghosts and getting powers and mastering their powers. And that kind of sounds very typical of an anime, but the way they do it is such a fun, by the way, well drawn, just really well animated show that I think it's just really hard to not like it. I think I mentioned before, on previous talks that we've had is that while we were watching the show, I don't think there hasn't been a lot of the show that I don't like of it, like that I don't like. Like, I don't have a lot of stances where I'm like, even characters and stuff like that. Everything kind of just works for me as far as the show is concerned. And I've rewatched the show, and we watched it a few different times and things like that. And I popped in the first episode one more time. And it gave me the feels again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's how I know this show is good. Because I wasn't thinking about it like that. And then I popped the first episode in again. And I was like, I smiled. I was like, the show, there's something here. And I think it's going to be a future classic. Just writing on the wall. I mean, unless they just completely just drop whatever ball they have. It could happen, but...
And if something is the new hypeness, then oftentimes that is when it happens.
I know, it's like too hot.
What concerns me is that the second season is apparently directed by someone new.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That's
a little weird, but...
Yeah, that's weird.
Because you can see it's Abel Gongora, is their name. And the first season was directed by Fuga Yamashiro.
Okay.
Written by Hiroshi Seigo. Mm-hmm. I would say what I love about Don to Don, I've been very fortunate. One of the tragedies of anyone listening to this episode, if they haven't watched it, is that we are already telling them more about the show than I would advise about the show before you start it.
Right.
Like, I literally just hit play on Netflix, because I started watching it on Netflix, and I literally was just transported into this world after like 2 minutes. Yep. There's something called buy-in when you are like being pitched to, where the audience has to buy into what you're selling them.
Yes.
And most anime for me, I actually take like a few episodes before I buy into an anime.
Yeah. I
typically.
see that.
For this show, I literally felt myself buy into it after approximately like 2 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. It gave me the feels.
The economy of storytelling is incredible, where we find out so much about the main character's name, or one of the main character's names is Hayase Momo.
Mm-hmm.
Young girl.
Yep.
She just got dumped by a jerk of a boyfriend and delivers a devastating kick to his he blocks the kick, but it's incredible.
Great scene.
It's an incredible shot. Just intense, over the top slapstick violence.
Yeah.
And she doesn't win though, but, and she's been dumped and she's walking down the hallway and there's this like beautiful, sad music playing and she's drawn in a like, caricaturized way where she's like almost rubbery as her legs stretch from one end of the hallway to the other side of the hallway. And is just like she looks like she has her hands in her pockets, but she's wearing like a skirt, but she's like, you know, doing a classic sort of shuffle walk. Like, oh, I wish I had Ken Takakura, you know, a man like that. And then she stumbles on our second lead, and I won't spoil the rest of the episode, but the way they meet and the way they interact is really refreshing for a male and female friendship.
It's electric.
Yeah.
It's really electric.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And the music is incredible. There's so many themes that I could sing right now and butcher. But that score helped draw me in too. And I had no idea this was like a paranormal show or a horror show or whatever show. Do you know what it reminds me of in terms of like a piece of animation that sort of blew open all sort of genre conventions? Is actually South Park. This show reminds me of South Park's first season.
Break that down for me.
Okay.
Just calculation.
South Park
equals.
Now, obviously the animation styles are totally different.
Of course.
They have totally different goals, but there's like this irreverence where it's like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And a lot of people mischaracterize this show as just stupid. Like, even a friend of mine who loves the show was laughing and saying, oh, it's so stupid. I just love it.
I see.
And for me, it's like, I think it's goofy. And I think it has a whimsy to it. But it's also incredibly artful and mature in how it conveys real human stuff, man. I mean, when you're dealing with the spirits of the dead, like that means someone died. A real person.
And they have weight. The characters have weight.
Yep. And the dramatic moments and the emotional moments in the show, because they're there, they hit real hard. And maybe we can switch to spoiler now, because I think we're going to probably occasionally talk about stuff that has already happened. So if you haven't watched Dan to Dan, you may turn it off if you would like. Turn this episode off and just start watching it. And come back.
I should just like clap really loud or like yell or something, and then you'll know that we're done. Dan to Dan's done. But yeah, not here. We're
done to done.
We're done to done.
We're done to done.
Yeah.
Like episode 7 is a tear-jerking episode where the characters have been attacked by a spirit called Acrobatic Silky.
Yep.
So they're attacked by a spirit named Acrobatic Silky, who has sort of transfixed on a character named Ira, who is the first, like, one of the big things about an anime is the way they introduce new characters into the fold. And sometimes it gets kind of nerve-wracking. It's like, ooh, this character could be too much. And Ira is definitely a character where I was not sure about her at first. She really does not get along with Momo, and
she really lays it on thick.
Yeah, and she creates a sort of love triangle.
Sure. She doesn't even know she's creating it, but she's in with the crew, I guess, as it were. Yeah. Well, she is causing all sorts of mischief. But the ghost thinks of her as a daughter figure, and we find out her backstory for why she like just wants Ira to call her mommy and to like hug her and just wants to be with her. And it's just like,
I like full on cried when I rewatched that episode. It's just brutal.
Yeah, there's a great, but artistically well drawn and emphasized section in episode 7 where you get this backstory of acrobatic Silky as her mother form when she was like a human, and she I guess she lost her daughter to some like thugs. I think.
They were being robbed.
Yeah.
And these thugs were they heard her crying and then kidnapped her daughter.
Yeah, she got beat up. Like that was a very like tense scene that it really stood out to me. I don't know. I'm
it's
really
brutal.
weird.
It's a brutal scene because it's a whole montage of all her, like the way she worked her janitor job. And worked so hard to get her daughter a beautiful little dancing dress. I guess. I think her daughter took dance lessons and her mom just worked so hard, and every day she'd get home from work and she was trying not to wake. There's a scene where she's at the door and she's trying not to wake up her daughter.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then her daughter is right behind the door and hugs her and looks up and says, "I missed you, Mommy." You know, and then
it's cute.
Oh, it's so
it's
sweet,
great. It's really good. It's so well done, man.
But the way the montage goes is it does not. It's almost a gut punch and cruel how it happens. But like, there's not even like a fade out or a break in the action. There's all these wholesome, sweet scenes, and then the next thing you know, the mom is like on the ground begging these guys to stop. And she gets hurt, and she's
something with her throat, right? Or
So what happens is that she gets hit by one of them, and then I think she lands on a glass table. And her arms are bleeding. And then she tries to pick herself up off the ground, and her hand gets on a framed photo of her and her daughter, I believe. And it's scraped on it's gashed by the glass, and so she's bleeding out of her arms and her hand.
It's crazy.
It's
a wild scene.
And she's chasing after the guys who are kidnapping her daughter, and it's like, what the fuck?
That's right. She was like almost on the brink of like passing out, and she
does pass out briefly and then gets up and just goes after him.
It was all adrenaline.
And the episode begins with her chasing after them before we know the context of it.
Right.
It's a perfect episode of anime.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really 7. Good. Yep.
And there's a stretch in the show where every single episode I go, oh, that's my favorite of season 1. When I rewatched, I went, oh, that must be my favorite because that was so perfect.
Yeah.
It's like episodes 4 through 8 where I thought that's got to be my top favorite episode of the season. And then there's a moment where Akarun, which is the name of the secondary lead character.
Right.
And
no, bro, it's Ken
Takakura.
Takakura.
Yeah, well, you can't say that around Momo.
Yeah, Miss Momo. Yeah.
Because so she loves this actor named Ken Takakura. And she spends the first episode saying, I want to meet a guy like Ken Takakura. And this is something that could happen because of Japanese surnames and how their surnames and other names are more like commonly used. I guess it's like if there was a guy named John Smith in America who was an actor, then it's very likely you'd meet another John Smith.
Exactly.
So I don't mean to say like, oh, this is an Asian name thing.
Yeah.
So
happens, I guess.
But at the end of the first episode, she asks Ken what his name is, or sorry, Akarun, sorry. Freak out.
Yeah, I do.
sorry. And he says, oh, my name is Ken Takakura. And there's an explosion from the adventure they just had that goes on right behind her.
Yeah.
So the episode where God, it's tough to talk about this show because there's so much that happens.
There's a lot that happens. I think,
I would say the Turbo Granny plotline is just incredible because you kind of wonder, the show pulls a fast one on you. And so in the first episode, the bet that they make is that Akarun has to stay at an area of town that's the most haunted area that Momo can think of for him.
Sure.
And then she has to stay in an area where a lot of UFO or UAP
sightings
have been reported. And they both the other person has to be their lackey, I think is how they phrased it.
Yeah.
If they find out that they were wrong, because they're both doubters in the other's beliefs.
Right.
And they both have like personal trauma associated with what they believe.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like he wanted to be friends with aliens because he couldn't make friends on Earth.
Yeah.
And he was like betrayed by them that they never came to him.
I never reached out.
He waited for them on roofs, and it's just. And then Momo, she got made fun of because of stuff that her grandma, who took care of her, made her do, like carry your chi and protect yourself.
Yeah, so you won't get sick or
a curse.
A curse. Yeah.
But she got made fun of by this fucker I'm pointing to.
Yeah, Gigi. Mr. Gigi.
And she felt kind of embarrassed about her grandma being a spiritual medium and making her do that stuff.
Yeah.
And they actually fell out of touch for a bit, so she felt kind of ashamed about that.
Yeah.
And so they both have this beautiful backstory for their beliefs,
Yeah. Again, adding more weight to the characters.
More weight to the characters. It's not just goofies.
Right.
But so there's a cool down episode where they're talking about, okay, Turbo Granny, that's the spirit that Akarun runs into when he's in that area of town.
Turbo Granny, man.
And they have a cool down episode where they go back to Momo's place and they actually meet another spirit, the woodsman or whatever.
Yeah.
But we meet Seiko, which is Momo's grandma. Incredibly strange character, but really cool.
Hot granny.
Hot granny.
Yeah.
She's very attractive, yes. And Momo, and Akarun loses his balls, both of his balls. Or wait, no, he loses his weenie. He loses his weenie.
Yeah, so this show, this is where we start getting into like the weird part of the show.
It's very strange. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite part of the show.
Right.
That they're talking about him losing his weenie or his balls.
His balls are being lost. Why are these things getting removed from a male? Who knows, but.
And they don't look like, the balls are just gold. These are not medically accurate testicles.
By the way, which I think is like a way to say that the man is like golden, like he's, his inner self, his manhood should be cherished.
Yes.
Inside there is a golden boy.
He's a golden god.
Yeah, a golden god, exactly.
But they allude to all this training they're going to have to do to face Turbo Granny because she's an incredibly fast spirit, and she's actually merged with a location-based spirit as well. She's a yokai, and then there's a location-based spirit.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden the scene becomes really dark, tense, and scary, and time stops, and her grandma has a nosebleed, like a serious one, a scary nosebleed.
Yeah.
And the Turbo Granny says, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to have her have like a stroke or an aneurysm or heart attack. Like she's saying I could kill her right now.
Crazy.
And so immediately I thought they were going to do like a training arc and it was going to build up to this conflict. And then it turns out, oh no, next episode they fight her with no preparation. And it's insane. But let me tell you, when they do race Turbo Granny, that episode is a masterpiece.
So good.
The race does not go where you expect it to go at all.
No.
And you never know how they're going to get out of this situation,
Yeah, the kids are really, they're teenagers. They're really thrown into these unknown territories. They have some minimal knowledge of, obviously, the basis of where these things come from, but nobody's training them in a way where Momo is being taught by her grandmother, on learning how to manage her psychic powers and things like that and how to utilize them and things like that. But they're really, episode to episode really thrown into these very, wild characters that they run into and having to solve how to tackle them and win, and they do it. And then I would say that this show is not. I still would not categorize the show as like a I don't know, like an action. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not a.
Well, I was shocked when I found out that this was in like a Shonen Jump style magazine.
Yeah, right.
It does not seem like that at all.
No, it doesn't fit necessarily the style of Shonen from what we know of it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't categorize it like that. This show, to me, reminded me, it's not nearly the same, but it gave me whiffs of like Fooly Cooly.
Yeah.
Like weird stuff that like dealt with like, male, female characters. Bit of fan service. There's actually a decent amount of fan service in that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not grinding the show to a halt.
No, it's just there.
It's more, I guess, part of the story.
Right. Part of the characters.
There is some stuff that's happened in the show that I could criticize.
I know. I know you wanted to talk about that episode, the weird, really weird one.
Well, even the series premiere, I was just thinking that. I think that. So I think I can barely like move on from that because
sure.
So in the season premiere, Momo gets sort of kidnapped by some aliens, which are the worst part of the show, by the way, the Serpoians or whatever.
Yeah, those characters are very weird.
Hello, human person. Hello, female person.
We're only males.
Yeah, we like interacting with women persons better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets pinned with like she's tied down.
She's in like one of those like what you would expect like an alien to tie somebody down to do a probe in.
Not tied though, but
not tied, but she's latched down.
There you go. And they're about to initiate sex.
But first we have to turn you on.
Yeah, they're forcing her to be turned on with hypnosis.
Yeah,
they are from a species that has evolved to only have males, and so they can't really carry on like that. They're going to face extinction.
Yeah, they have bad genes because of that.
Yeah, and their voices are creepy and
weird.
But thankfully, she gets out of it by her psychic powers are awakened, and she remembers to take out her chi. And the animation during the scene where she gets awakened is beautiful. Her hair is flowing, and it's longer than it was before and then after, seemingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
just
dope.
One of those things where it's like things don't have to be like, quote, accurate.
Thank you.
With really good art and animation to convey certain emotions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's a special moment. And it reminds me of actually a lot of Western online animation. Like there's a show called Bee and Puppy Cat, which is has moments like that. Where it's just very magical feeling.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
But so I thought that part was okay in terms of how it worked out. But they made the decision to end this season of 12 episodes. It's a triumphant season. Like I would say episodes 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is the best first season I've ever seen of any anime. Like just really beautiful.
It's really good.
Probably hyperbolic praise, but every episode I'm watching and I'm like, this is like 5 stars probably.
Yeah,
like,
it's good. It's
I love
really
it. But
they make an interesting decision on how they want to close out season 1. And I just wouldn't have chosen those 2 episodes to quote unquote end your season.
Those two episodes. So they introduce a new character named Gigi, who I hated him on first watch, but he's very goofy, very flirty, and he interrupts the Momo and Akurun story right when they're starting to fall for each other.
They really,
there's a lot of progress that's like about to be made, it seems like. Like she's joking about, why were you working out to impress me? Why do you want me to think?
Yeah, why do you want me to think you're like strong?
Cool.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
Yeah, and she even says something about feeding him lunch if his hands are too, they're not free because he's working out.
It's very cute.
But yeah, he's just a complete pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And he interrupts all these moments.
He's a monkey wrench.
Yeah. And it's
it's
interesting because I was not bothered at all by Ira, who is also a
monkey wrench,
NTR. And I think it's because I'm a dude and I empathize more with Akurun.
Yes.
Because I think you and I have both been in situations where a girl we like, you see them talking to some other guy who's more attractive than us.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, of course, we're both 5-star men.
Thank you. Traditional men.
You're like, that's never happened.
That's never happened. No, it's happened, buddy.
Speak for yourself, Ken.
That's definitely Ken.
Takakura. So I think maybe obviously I do empathize with Momo too.
Sure. But we understand the plight of male.
Exactly. I understand his pain, and I wear glasses too, have black hair, brown hair.
And we know Gigi. We know that guy.
Yeah.
Are you identify with who that person is? I know that person.
Yeah. And so when I first watched, I'm like, oh, he's like a flirt, and it's easy for him to find girls.
Yeah, because he's like cool.
I hate this guy.
Yeah. Or he thinks he's cool. I don't know.
I watched some video reference, take two. This is a terrible episode, dude. This is not going well.
You don't like it?
No, it's going terribly.
Well, we can listen back to it to see if it sounds the way you think it sounds.
I had to voice that.
That's fine. That's
otherwise, I'd be kind of in this awkward place all night.
So you're like, where's my head at?
Well, that's I like we've talked about. I'm trying to be more honest while things are happening.
Of course. That's fine.
But I'm having a bad time with this. I'm sorry. I'm having fun like when we make a funny joke.
Of course.
But
going through the episodes.
Yeah, it's just like I said. That's why I wanted to see if we could delay this, because I didn't really...
The Dandadan part?
Yeah, because I just didn't have a plan.
Yeah, I think the Dandadan piece, I kind of just wanted to express my excitement for the show coming out. Okay. Yeah, because I was really excited about it. But so I watched some... And now I just go right back into it. No, you can go.
I watched some videos explaining all the references in Dandadan. And this is a show that was clearly made by someone who watched a shit ton, not just of anime, but of just TV. And there's so many references that you and I could never know.
Sure.
And they're done so artfully that I legitimately think of it as just like, oh, that alien said something weird, and it fits perfectly in the story. You know, there's certain movies or TV shows where you can see them inserting a reference that you don't get and it bothers you.
Yeah.
Like when you watch old Looney Tunes episodes.
Right.
And they go, I'm this actor who's doing this.
Cagney. You're like, who's Cagney?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
But for this show, I never say... I'm not going to say never, but I rarely go, that's a reference I don't get. And apparently, Gigi, when he's saying like, Momo, you're such a cutie, you know, so he's, in the Japanese version at least, there's a specific like TV show he's referencing when he says that.
Okay.
And when he says, and that impression you just did, priceless. He's trying to reference like an old Visa commercial.
He's
priceless.
Doing TV like...
And outdated references. Like,
yes. Like how people would talk, actually, like teenagers. They would reference things they saw on TV.
Yeah. But he's doing stuff that's outdated for the high school class they're in, you know?
Okay, so he's like a retro guy.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a reveal or something where maybe his family they couldn't afford TV or something, and he's watching old, like, VHSs or something. Oh,
sure, and that's kind of where his weird, like...
And we haven't read the manga.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But I think he's, like, acting like an old school charmer character from like the 90s or something.
Yeah, or like the early 2000s.
Like, he could be like the guy who says, what's that?
Yes.
You know? Like, that could be something where he actually genuinely says that, like Michael Scott style.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And also, I really find the show, the way they write these kids, refreshing, because they do actually act like teenagers.
Yeah, I love that part.
And they have moments of triumph and moments of like being really annoying and immature.
Yeah.
Gigi has moments of greatness. He has moments where he was sorry for how he was bullying Momo, and he apologized pretty genuinely. Like when he drops the shtick, I go, oh, this guy could be really great.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that one thing that I'm excited for is when these four have their first like adventure together.
Right.
Ira and Gigi, I feel like, could be really
tight.
They could play off each other really well.
Yeah. I can see that.
Chaotic as hell.
Yeah. It puts it in like a teen drama or something. Yeah.
But when Gigi starts to pick up on Akarun liking Momo, he like comes out and just says, and it's so good when you're watching this week to week to have someone just say, do you have feelings for Momo? Like, do you love her?
Right. Like, how do you feel about her?
Yeah. But, and they start out having a pretty, like, productive conversation, but then it turns into
battle.
They are keeping score.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm a childhood friend, so I win. And
by the way, it's very realistic.
Yeah, it is. But, and then Akarun is too shy to say that they kissed, but Gigi,
right.
He picks up on that. He muttered to himself, I win. He's like, you can't just say that. But I also really love that Gigi does respect Akarun and does want to be his friend, seemingly. Like, when they're on the train, he's like, oh, you know everything.
Yeah. He wants to be liked. I think that's his character. He's a guy who tries hard to be liked. And so he puts on a lot of, like, shtick and gusto, like, things that he thinks people used to like or want to like or still would like, and that's gotten him really far. But when he, like I said, when he drops it, it turns into, like, he's a very genuine, nice, like,
loyal,
understanding. Yeah, like, he's a good guy, but he's got to play up that, because that's not cool. That's not, like, fun to, like, be that guy, like the very quaint and cordial and good-hearted, big heart, like, character. He's got to be eccentric and out there. And
I hope he can get out of his own way, because
he's a teen.
he could be a really cool guy. Like,
I see it in him. I see it too.
Yeah,
I see it in him.
Right now, he's just very awkward and he's putting on a show for everybody.
Like I said, it fits the age group.
The animation they do for him, by the way, like, half of the episode where he debuts, the budget seems to have gone to his facial expressions and his body. So I am starting to appreciate him on rewatch.
Yeah, he's fun.
But as a diversion to our ultimate goal of these two winding up together,
and Akarun, yeah,
he was a thorn in my side. And I would say that the episode where he premieres,
that's probably episode
12. Or 11, excuse me.
11.
I would say that episode is where I start saying that I really was losing faith in the show all of a sudden.
They made some interesting decisions.
They did, and I feel like it's just like, I feel really bad for Momo that all of a sudden this guy from her past comes back without her, like, consent. And he's staying with them without her consent, and he's, like, putting on the moves on her all the time. Yeah. I do empathize with her and sympathize with her, and feel bad. And then also, Ira goes back to, like being mean to her again after they had some really amazing development in the previous episode, where Ira is, like, so she is being cornered by a bunch of people and saying, for reasons that are too complicated to explain on here, the kids were caught pretty much naked. Too complicated to explain.
Yes, episode probably 10 or something like that.
Yeah. And so the kids are trying to make sense of the fellow high schooler kids. How do you do, fellow kids?
fellow teens.
They are trying to make sense of what just happened. They start blaming Momo. And in the old days, Ira would have said, yep, that's right. That's what happened. And she actually defends her and says, the rumor about Momo being, like, sleeping with any guy who comes along was started by her.
Yeah, she made it up.
And it short circuits the high schoolers' brains. They go, what? The good news is that these kids are so hooked on TikTok that they will forget that they had classmates that were naked.
Absolutely. That would have gone. That would have gone with the wind by then.
Yeah.
They were running out of the school with their underwear on.
Dude, that scene, that should have been the end of the season, in my opinion.
Yo, I had that same thought.
No, and it would have been a perfect 8 episodes or so.
Yes. Because why do what you did?
And then the season ends with them having to work together. Her and Ira and Akarun having to work together, and like the insane levels of magic they had to use, and know-how, and by the way, it was this show that taught me about that shrimp, the mantis shrimp. And I didn't realize it was a real animal until my YouTube recommendations had that pop up, and I was like, oh, it's fucking real.
It's fucking real, the mantis shrimp.
This thing actually can punch really hard. So anyway, that would have been an incredible season finale.
Yeah, because it was a wild episode.
And it feels really like a triumphant end for these characters. And this episode 12, and I'm not trying to be like social justice guy, but it ends with our beloved lead character being she's like 17, I think, right? 16.
Yeah, they're almost out of school, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
With how they're drawn, who knows?
Yeah.
Because we have a grandma who's drawn like a
she's
brick house.
Yeah, she's my favorite granny.
Yeah, well, she's a troll. She's like constantly trying to mess with anyone who's talking to her.
I actually love it. But I love that energy. So.
I just wish she was nicer to Momo. I think she's a little mean. But
they have their back and forths.
Yeah, and I will say on rewatch, Momo does come across as her granddaughter completely. Like you can see the resemblance and how they both have the same type of messing with people, like when she messes with Akarun.
Oh yeah. It's well written that way.
Yeah, but so they're going to Gigi's house because he's staying with Momo. Because Seiko, the granny, said he could because his parents are in the hospital. Like, this kid's going through some shit right now.
This is what I'm saying, man.
He can't sleep.
He's putting on... This is cover. It's a lot of covering.
Yeah, and so they're going to his house because Momo is going to be able to, like, basically exorcise the home for him. And that's the hope, anyway.
Right.
She goes to a hot spring, and all of a sudden, these creepy... undead or like statue-esque creature men start like walking towards the hot spring that she's staying in, and it's clear that they are up to no good. They say that, oh, we've got a hottie here, and they start telling her that, have you ever heard of gators? It's old men who prey on young women in a co-ed bath, and their powers are kicking in and making her like unable to stay awake.
Sure.
So the season ends, and I'm not going to use super gross language, but basically, she tries to use her magic to stop them, and then a guy pins her down underwater. The season ends with her being in that position. And for me, it just feels really... It sucks. Yeah. It really sucks to end the season that way because that's how the season began, with her being
I didn't piece that.
pinned down by a foe in a sexual way. And I kind of hoped that never would happen again in the show.
Sure.
And the fact that it ends the season, it's like, so we're never going to be able to forget this now because it's a big part of how the season begins and ends.
Yeah, it seems to be a trademark.
And I did... accidentally run into some thoughts about it online. We're not alone in this. Like, people are talking about it online. They're like, why was this the finale? Like, this is super...
It's just a weird way to end.
People are disappointed by it.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think it's pretty disappointing. I feel like Gigi coming in could be also the last moment of the season. Like, that was her childhood crush. And Akarun going, and that's see you next season.
Yeah.
That's a great reveal.
Sure, that too. That is a great way to end it as well. You could do it that way.
Because this season, in the first episode, she has a flashback to her childhood and people making fun of her granny. And on rewatch, it's clear that the kid who made fun of her grandma is Gigi. They literally just have him there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's the main, Momo being one of the main characters, or one half of the main character. She's going through a lot. She's feeling a lot of things. She's also experiencing a ton of things. But the ride with Momo and Akarun has been insanely engaging. Revitalized my feelings about newer anime that's been coming out, and I'm loving it. I'm back on the horse.
Oh, yeah.
So this show kind of got me back on the horse, honestly. I mean, that and Daima. But Daima isn't... You know what I mean? Daima's new, but it's not new in a way.
No, it's an established property, whereas this is a new entire property.
Completely fresh.
Yeah.
So... And
it's really special. And honestly, these last two episodes, there's still awesome stuff in both episodes. It's just a case where it's like...
Why stop there?
So I hate this format. When a season comes out and they go part 1 and part 2. But I think this is the first time where I would say
it makes sense
they
to do
could
it
have
that
done
way.
it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, because season 2 we're recording this in January of 2025.
Yep.
Season 2 is going to come out in July of 2025.
Wait, July?
Yeah.
Shit.
That's why I was worried. I actually sent Jallah a anxious text because I'm like, I don't know how they have enough time to make a whole season. But the teaser has been released for it.
Oh, I didn't even see.
It looks pretty normal, like for Dan to Dan.
Sure,
like,
sure.
It looks like season 1, too.
Okay.
And you can usually tell when there's production fuckery going on with the show. Like, they'll either, like, if a trailer comes out for an anime and it's mostly still photos, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
And,
red flag.
And if it's mostly stuff from, like, the first episode of that season, that's also a bad sign.
Ooh,
so this looked like a pretty decent teaser.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to check for that. After this.
But so we had a theory that maybe they actually started working on season 2, like, before season 1 even premiered, because the manga is such a hit.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that they had to get a new director and stuff, it could be that they just had this so well planned out that they had one team working on season 1 with this director.
Second team working on the other one.
And maybe there's a chief animation director that's going to make both seasons look and feel consistent.
Right. Which would be great.
Who knows?
I'm excited.
I'm excited, but I'm the thing is that I want to catch up on the manga because of the cliffhanger of season 1. Like, let's be honest, we know she's going to get out of there.
Of course.
That's a dumb thing to say. That's like when people watched Infinity War and they go, they're going to come back. And it's like, yes, we all know they're going to come back.
That, but how?
But how they do it is the interesting part.
Thank you.
My thing is, I would love if maybe Ira saved her somehow. But I think what's going to happen is that Turbo Granny will save her because, number one, the teaser trailer is narrated by her. But number 2, thematically, Turbo Granny, we find out that she has a soft spot for, like, young women who are in danger or who faced hardship.
Right.
She likes to help women.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder what happened to Turbo Granny.
Sure.
It humanizes her a bit.
Yeah.
But I think
feminine spirit.
Yeah, I think that she could be the one who helps. But I would love it if it was Ira.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. No, I'm excited, man. I think this cast of characters, the kids that go to school with and stuff like that, and our main cast, just fun. Real fun characters.
Sure. It's true. And Momo is not like Son Goku.
No,
she's not. She does not draw people in and make them love her. She is.
Neither does Okarun.
No, Okarun is. Well, actually, you know what? You're wrong about that. He makes girls fall in love with him, really. That's the funny thing is that I was in rewatch, I'm like, God, this guy's so great. Like, he's like explaining how his theory about how the theory that yokai spirits are protecting the earth from aliens. So cool. The way the show merges together those two concepts of the occult and the spiritual stuff.
So sick.
Super cool. Yeah. And genuinely a smart idea. Because this show was written in such a way where it was the guy was an animation assistant a manga assistant for Chainsaw Man and some other stuff.
Sure.
But he didn't have any work at the time, and someone gave him the advice to just write like whatever came to mind and just have fun and not worry about stuff. And this is what happens when you just let your creativity flow and have fun. And that's what makes the show great, and that's what makes the like reveals and the two different genres like merge together so well, because it's someone who watched and read a ton of stuff and was passionate about a ton of stuff, and
he used all of his mind share to really create a classic in the making, I think.
Yeah, and it's still, like we mentioned earlier, it pays respect to everything that came before it. It's not like it's like reinventing the wheel, but it is instead paying tribute to classic anime, but it has a lot of new stuff to say.
Yeah, like, shout out to the little berserk nod. I think
not
that's
nostalgia
in the show. Did I tell you what I mean, I think I've mentioned this before, but
what is it?
The transformation that Okarun has, that cool transformation character, his appearance looks similar to Guts's power suit helmet. Like, almost loudly, I'm like, that looks like Guts's power suit helmet. That's sick.
You watched the dub, right? You didn't.
Yeah, I watched the dub. Yep.
I watched the sub.
Yep.
But I've seen clips, and that it's a very good dub.
Yeah, it's really good.
Did he ever say, "This makes me wilt"? Because in the Japanese version, he goes, "This makes me wilt." It's a strange.
That's a great phrase.
But it's so cool. Yeah, it's like it becomes like his catchphrase halfway through the first season.
I don't think he says that in the dub.
Okay.
But I would love to know what his phrase is in the dub, so I can kind of connect those two pieces. Maybe we'll try to find it.
In the first half, they have him just say, "I'm depressed. Man, I'm depressed. I can't do anything right. I can't save this girl." I just love that he gets so depressed in the middle of a high-stakes mission.
Yeah, he's so low.
It's so great. And then when he's naked, it's even better because he's depressed and naked. And saying, in the Japanese version, he calls her Momo-chan.
Yeah, Momo-chan.
And he calls Ira-chan. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to say, for all the problematic stuff in the show, one of my favorite problematic scenes is when Ira, she starts to realize she has feelings for Akarun. Mm-hmm. And she confesses to him. And he's been trying to do some training to, like, impress Momo, because he wants to protect her. And there's been close calls in their little missions.
Sure.
But so Ira tries to confess her feelings for Akarun, and she immediately starts trying to kiss him as well. And I didn't expect him to be this furious, but he like puts his hand right on her face. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she is not deterred, and it actually becomes scary because she has read her father's pornographic magazines. It says, when you give a confession, it's the girl's job to confess, and then the guy has to accept her kiss. And he's like, "What? What have you been reading?" And there's a classic line in the sub. I don't know how they did it in the dub. Yeah. But where he says, "Miss Shiratori, you're a popular girl. Like, why are you acting like an amateur in relationships?"
Oh, yeah. He says it in the dub, too.
And she says... First, she says, "Don't confuse popularity with, like, relationships," which that's actually a good argument.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
And then she goes, "And don't say that I'm an amateur in relationships. I've just never been in one before." And he goes, "That's exactly what that means." He's frantically trying to... But she doesn't realize she's, like, contradicting herself.
No, but the show's written so fucking well.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it's written so well. It's so good.
One of my other funny gag moments that I love is when... So they spend this whole lunch period looking for each other. Mm-hmm. That episode's so great.
It's right.
There's no spooky stuff, really.
No.
And it's the whole episode is about them becoming friends at school. Mm-hmm. And she's waiting for him. And he starts overthinking and goes... "Oh, maybe she doesn't want to talk to me at school." And he like creates this whole fantasy in his head that she doesn't want to talk to him and she's embarrassed and she's waiting for someone else clearly. Yeah. And luckily she just does not let him walk by without saying hi. And she literally does this cute shoulder bump.
It's cute. It's very cute. This is the rom-com part that like really sells their relationship.
But it's relatable for me because I remember back when I was in high school, mm-hmm. I'd like talk to maybe a cute girl mm-hmm. on AIM, mm-hmm. AOL Instant Messenger. And we would be like talking either at night on a weekday or mm-hmm. like on Sunday before school that Monday. Sure. And I remember there was this one time, this girl who I had like a nice conversation with on Sunday, mm-hmm. I saw her on Monday after our talk, mm-hmm. and for some reason I just didn't.
No, I know.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And she was talking to a friend of mine who I was with.
Oh, she was talking like here, and you were just like, no.
Yeah, and I didn't say anything. And I remember that. I'm like, God damn, that's
I know, being a teen is such a fucking
But I thought like, oh, she was just passing the time talking to me on AIM, and it didn't mean anything. And she'll say hi to me if she wants to. Oh, she didn't say hi to me. Okay, I guess I better kill myself. Exactly. Better go fuck myself.
Right, exactly.
So I totally relate to him in that moment where he's like, through nothing that she did, she's literally waiting for him. Yeah. He looks super vulnerable. And she's ready to talk to him. And he's just, she must be waiting for someone else.
It's teen assumptions, man.
Yeah. Yep. The insecurity, the fragile insecurity of the male. Yep. Mm-hmm. Gigi would never have done that. And that's...
No, Gigi would have... He would have rolled up on her.
Come on, weed.
He would have said some 90s phrase that's like out of style now.
I swear he will say it eventually. I swear.
It's coming. I'll let you know in the dub. Yeah, thank you.
In the dub, they did a great localization where apparently there's like a hip joint joke in Japan. Mm-hmm. That's a dirty. See, what I love about Gigi is he goes, "Are dirty jokes in now?" He's super confused that people are saying dirty. They keep talking about Akarun's nut. His ball.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are dirty jokes in?"
Dirty jokes.
And he brings up something called my hip joint, which I have no idea what that means. I didn't find the reference for that online.
Okay.
But in the dub, they localized it to, and he does put his hands right on his crotch.
Yep.
They localized it to, "Oh, you mean like this meme? These nuts." So they did a great. This is what I mean about like dubs getting better.
Attention to
Where
detail.
you and I have watched 2 separate experiences of Don to Don.
Yeah.
But I know you know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about. There are certain dubs from the 90s where if you watched the dub, you did not watch the same show I watched theoretically as a sub-viewer.
Sadly.
Yeah, but this is a great dub.
It's fantastic.
That's a great example of localization when you should do it, because if you have these American voice actors saying, "Oh, hip joint," like the voice actor isn't even going to know what they're talking about.
What are you saying? Right. How do I emphasize the way you're saying hip joint?
Yeah. But the D's nuts, everyone knows. D's nuts. Yeah. So, have you ever seen the show, Slam Dunk?
No, not yet, but that's on my list.
Okay.
After watching Ippo and it being a sports anime, my next thing was basketball.
I read the manga a little bit. It's
Did
very
you?
good. Yeah. I've never seen the anime, though.
I'm excited.
But, there's a reference to Slam Dunk where Akarun mentions that he's not going to give up. That guy running, by the way, was another thing I didn't like.
Yeah. There's a whole episode of that.
Yeah. And so I think I got interrupted by myself, not by you. Mm-hmm. But that was the other thing where Momo had to deal with that. And then
it was very weird.
It was just a frantic episode where like she couldn't catch a break. And then Gigi was like hanging on to her and like he was being annoying.
Yeah. And it was a distraction episode.
Yeah. But at the end of it where the dummy finally finds the girl dummy. I'm calling them dummies. The medical dummy.
Yeah. Right. They're like mannequins.
Yeah, there you go. Medical mannequin.
Medical mannequin.
Medical mannequin.
I like that.
That's really good. But at the end of that episode, there's still a beautiful scene where they find each other, and then Akarun is inspired by his speech to her, saying he'll never give up and he loves her.
Yep.
And that's great. That could have been the end of the season.
I pulled from that episode. That was the biggest piece that I pulled from it, was that I gotta speak to you, Okarun, that this is what you need to be doing. Like, this is the energy you need to go into.
And I thought that the season was going to end with like a confession from him to her.
Yeah, something close to it.
Yeah, but it's just, I feel like they just like, they must have
like, why, like, stop it there. And then
it's so funny. We've had several hypothetical season ending moments where it's like, that would have been great. That would have been great. It feels like this was like a mistake.
Right. Like, why put the 12th one out? You could have just stopped at 11.
Like, maybe they ordered 12 episodes and tried to figure out how much story they could cover with 12 episodes. And they go, oh, fuck, we ordered 12.
Shit.
And that's why they frantically made season 2 with a new director, because they go, this is going to be bad.
Right. Why did we
this is
do
a bad
12?
Season finale.
We could have done 9.
Why didn't we
10.
do 13?
Yeah, 13 even. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
But yeah, it's a small inconvenience to the show. The show is fantastic.
I guess the problem is it's the worst episode of the season. And for this show, worst is still
very
pretty
high.
I would say it's pretty good. I hate to end it. I'm not going to be negative, but I will say it's just tough to have this season finale be the worst episode of the season.
It is.
I've
noticed it from people that I've talked to. I'm like, did you finish the show? They're like, yeah, it was confusing. That's what I'm like. Yes, it was.
Yes.
So I don't know why they ended that way, is what I said. But yeah.
But it's such a shame because there's been masterpiece after masterpiece, like that run from 1 to 9. It's like the Dragon Ball Daima run. The run from 1 to 8. Yeah. It's been pretty great. But
I say people that are watching the show, it's too early to drop it, I think.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's way too early to be like, I'm not coming back.
I know there's still awesome stuff after this because it has a great reputation.
Oh yeah, the manga's been going on for a while. It's
only getting more popular.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why this show greenlit a second season right away, because people love this shit. Yeah, so I have faith. I think the growing pains are... It's funny, they're less acute in like the character interactions, the art. Like this is one of the most confident first seasons of a show I've ever watched.
Yeah.
But it's just in the where is the line in terms of the sexual stuff. I think that's...
Too blurry.
That's too blurry for these high school kids.
Yeah.
And it just, there's that meme where it's like, you watching this show and then you watching this show when your parents come in. Like if you're a high schooler watching this.
Yeah. No, I know. By the way, you saying that phrase also fits with the age.
Yeah.
It's blurry.
Yeah.
It's blurry. The time is blurry. We're not exactly sure what we should be doing, we shouldn't be doing, but we're testing things out.
If I were a teen watching this, or even like a preteen, I would think it was the coolest shit ever.
The best shit. Yeah.
But I think I still love it now, but I think this would be like my personality for a few years if I watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah, it'd be peak. You'd be like, yo, but this is just cute chick and like, da-da-da-da-da, and then the grand, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would just like be going on, and like it's hitting all your check boxes, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, it's tight. we both don't know what to say after that. It's tight. Well, yeah, it's tight.
It's tight. 90s reference. Okay. Cool. I'm Gigi now.
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to watch Gigi in the sub because that actor...
he's crazy, too.
Kawaii ni. Yeah. That's how he says it. That's how he says that she's a cutie. Kawaii ni.
Oh, yeah, I got to watch that.
He goes off, man.
Yeah. Good times.
Right. Well, we're coming off of a long weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day today.
Salute.
I drove 8 hours yesterday, so to see my grandma for her 90th birthday party.
Congrats to her.
Mm-hmm. And then Jallah and I actually hung out on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And
little daddy duty.
We that makes it sound like I'm part of the daddy.
I know you and me did daddy duty together.
Double dad.
Double dad.
We would walk around and we would say to casual passerby, we would say double dad duty.
Double dads, yeah.
And they'd say, what?
What are you talking about?
Two dads.
Two dads.
Crazy. That's actually totally fine and cool.
Oh yeah, it's definitely out there.
Yeah,
definitely out there.
It's good. I'm
into it.
Yeah, but we got to have some delicious bubble tea.
Yeah.
Although I didn't have bubble tea, I just had a specialty coffee. But
the creme brulee.
That was probably the best part of my weekend.
It's good shit, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
but it was good to see you outside the pod.
Yeah, that was fun.
We'll have to do that again sometime.
Absolutely.
But so if we seem scattered, it's because it's a long weekend and
long week.
That can get fucky.
Oh yeah, but the flow of the show. We're here to kind of give you kind of our hot takes, our enjoyments, our concerns, and just overall passion for the nerddom.
To be clear, this was my favorite show last year.
Yeah, man.
I know that sometimes I bring up stuff that I had issue with, but I only bring it up just because it's notable and that everything else was top tier.
Yeah, you care enough about the show to bring up the other stuff.
No, there's pieces of music in the show that are just living in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Rent free. Din, 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 din,
it's good.
Yeah, and I don't know. I do love this show quite a bit, and we'll have to do an episode about the manga just to compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Because this show could be a triple threat where it's a perfect adaptation of the manga material. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect dub.
Yep.
And it's a perfect just standalone piece of animation. Like,
solid.
Sometimes an adaptation does not respect the source material as well as it could, but it still winds up being great. But
right.
From what I've seen, it seems to respect the source material and just like break new ground and
I'm excited.
Respect the past, but also point the way towards the future. And that's kind of what this show is about.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very, very
respecting
true.
the past and then shining a light on
the future.
The future.
Yes.
All right. Well, make sure to follow us on TikTok because it's not banned yet. Make sure to follow us on Instagram.
Yep.
We're going to be posting some funny videos.
Yeah. Little clips. Shorts. Funny pictures. Mm-hmm. Things that are related to the episodes, probably.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll be running low on material and might just be a random picture of a dog.
A couple dogs.
A random dog.
Yeah.
Not even my dog.
Snow outside. Minnesota things.
New episode about Fist of the North Star. And there's just a picture of snow.
Fist of the North Star. Snow covered.
Fist of the Snow Star.
There you go.
All right, dude. Well, until next time, what do you think they should do?
I think it should slide on later.
Slide on into next week.
Yeah.
Peace.
Hasta.
Oh, Goku.